Alright, real quick, putting the pilot bearing back in this car, you want to make sure that hole's all cleaned out and just use a tiny bit of grease on the outside of that bearing to help it going in. I'm using this bearing seal installer here. It's going to hit it flush. It needs to be a little further in from flush, but I don't have a smaller one than this, so I'm just going to find a socket that fits in there just right and put an extension on it and tap it in just a little further from flush. That's how the original one was set in there. It wasn't completely flush, it was kind of inset a little bit, so that's where I'm going to put it. But first of all, we're going to tap it flush with this. I got this little 8mm socket here, an extension. It fits right in the hole, so I'm just going to tap it real lightly just to kind of inset it just a little bit back to where it was from factory. There you go. That looks about right. Here, I'll take it in and I'll show you. See, it just kind of sits in there, just a little bit flush right there. Little further in than flush. Kind of where that the little conical part kind of flattens out. And get in there, and you set. You golden. You're ready to put the clutch disc in. Now, all your clutch kits should come with this tool. So you shouldn't have to really worry too much about lining it up. Looks like I got some dirt in my camera there, got a little glare. But anyways, you're gonna get your new clutch disc. Go ahead and get it out. Alright, now please do not make this mistake when installing this. See how flat and pretty much flush this is? This is the engine side. Do not put this towards the engine. Your clutch will not work at all. Trust me, it will not work at all. This little part here that you see sticks out, this is the transmission side. Most of them will say flywheel side or engine side. This one here don't say nothing. So just make sure you do not make that mistake. Now just take your tool, insert it here, and this part's going to go in the bearing. Just set your disc up in there, and then you'll be able to set the pressure plate over top of it and bolt it in. Pressure plate out. Grab two of your old bolts. Set it up over your disc there. Right on your dowel pins. Should pretty much hold it in. Go ahead and just kind of hand run these two bolts in. That'll hold it up in there. Then grab your other bolts. Just run them up in by hand, then get your torque wrench. Because you're going to need to torque these. You're not just going to hand run these. You might get away with it, but it's always best to torque the pressure plate bolts to spec. Now I'm going to grab my ratchet here And I'm going to run these bolts in just so they start just right before they tighten up. And then the rest of it, I'm just going to torque it with a torque wrench. Make sure your disc is nice and straight. You don't want to have trouble putting that input shaft in it. You're going to want to crisscross, go in a star pattern. You don't want to just tighten them up all around the circle. Alright, now the bolts are all the way in. The plate is flush against the flywheel, but they aren't torqued, they're not tightened at all, they're just run up straight to it. Now we're going to grab our torque wrench, we're going to set it to the correct torque. I'm going to go look that up right quick, and then we're going to torque the pressure plate. Alright, the pressure plate bolt torque spec is 18.5 to 24.4. So, I'm going about in the middle of that, and I'm going to set it to 21, and we're going to torque this down, and we'll be done with the clutch and be ready to put the transmission back in and put it all back together. Do this in the same way that I just did it before, in a crisscross pattern. Don't go around in a circle. Do not go around in a circle. Real easy. 22 pounds already on that one. 22 there, crisscross. Right there, 22. Crisscross, applesauce. 22. 22. And there you have it. Go ahead and pull your tool out. Clutch kits do come with a little bit of grease, and what you're going to want to do is just put some grease on the splines of the transmission and put just a little bit on the splines of the clutch, not much. You don't want this grease flinging out and getting on the clutch. You don't want that. And definitely do not use anti-seize. Every clutch kit I get always warns against using antifreeze. Whatever reason, don't use it. It comes with grease. Use the grease that they give you, okay? Grease the transmission splines, grease a little bit on the clutch splines, and you shouldn't have no problem. It should be fairly easy anyways if you lined it up, so nothing to really worry. Alright, I know I already ended the other video, but I just want to make sure y'all get all this content in. This good content. Anyways, clean your clutch fork off, make it nice and clean. Get rid of all this freaking dust, and put lube in here. Doesn't really matter what lube you do. Put some lube in here for something. Don't let it go back in with a dry ball. It's got a little bit of wear in it, not a lot. Doesn't look like it's all the way around, so it's not too bad. But if you see excessive wear in this clutch fork, you might want to replace it while it's out if you have the time. If not, no big deal. Just make sure you grease it up good so it'll prevent any future wear. And spray it all off, blow it off, make sure it's good and clean, because you really don't want to have a bunch of dust in there wearing your fork out on the pivot ball. See, now don't that just look better than having all that dusty shit on there? I mean, come on guys, just clean it off! Alright, as you can see, I got a good pocket of grease in there. That'll give it a good long life on that pivot ball. It'll protect the fork, protect the pivot ball, longer life. That's what we want, ain't it, fellas? Just take it. Let me move you closer. You want to see what I'm doing, don't you? Don't you? There we go. slide it back down in the hole like so. Get it through your boot. You might need to open this boot up a little bit over here, this little flap, and kind of ease it on through. Oh yeah, come on, baby. I guess I should have lubed it. Dry rubber sucks. Alright. Once you get that through, you're gonna kind of put your over the pivot ball here. Well, let me tell you what's gonna be easiest. Go ahead and take your string out and hook it on the front and pop it through the hole in the back. Get it on the fork first. Y'all see, y'all want a closer look, don't you? Let me get you hooked up. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Go ahead and grab your new throwout bearing. Take you, line it up like so. Well, hold on a second. Yeah, see, I was retarded. I was trying to slide it on there. But anyways, you'll see the two slots on the side. You'll just take it, stick it in front, line those two slots up, and it'll just pop onto that fork. Then just push your fork out, line it over there, put it on top of your pivot ball there, and then just click it into place. Boom, baby! Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Now what I want you to do is take a little bit of more grease and just put a little bit on this shaft right here that this throwout bearing slides on, because you want to make sure that that sleeve has a good long life too. We want to make sure all these parts have a good long life. Just don't glob it. I mean, we don't want to be slinging grease on our new clutch now, do we?